This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Obviously this road trip hasn't gone the way we want to do, but just talk to the guys about, putting everything out there. And, if we got down in the game, we battled back. We got up in the game. Even when they came back, we just hung in there. Those late penalties, at the end of the game and then in overtime, just found a way. Found a way to keep ourselves in that hockey game. And, obviously came to a shootout, but I just liked we were resilient, and that was a little bit more of that urgency that we need.
That was head coach Scott Arniel following the 4-3 shootout victory by the Winnipeg Jets. 2 points. 2 points by the Winnipeg Jets over the Calgary Flames. Saturday night, that was his comments following it. The Winnipeg Jets are practicing right now. Start at 11 o'clock. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Jim Toth, how was your weekend?
Woo! It was all right. Let's go. Happy Monday, though.
It was aight. It was aight.
I've never, ever complained about this once in my life. Ever.
No.
Blessed to do what I do. Love it every moment. These 9 p.m. games, that's enough. I don't mind the 3-game swing through California, then you hit Dallas or Minnesota on the way home or whatever, but the 9 p.m. games are...
Well, Jim, and I know you're not. You've done the morning shift. I'm not even up
in the morning like you.
You've done the morning shift. You know all about it.
Yeah, but I can grab some Monsters and Red Bulls and get through, and then you go up and it's the hanging around till it starts. It's much like the Grey Cup yesterday. There's not one player that comes Sunday at 5:15 wasn't like, can we kick the ball off already? Yeah, let's go.
Thank God.
Let's go.
Homestand now. Columbus tomorrow. Carolina on Friday. That's a game. Nicola Ehlers.
Yeah.
And then Minnesota later on before they head back on the road. But here's what the worst part has been. Is my little guy right now is in the middle of, he's going through growth spurts.
Uh-oh.
So he's sleeping all the time. He's all the time. Like we had moved him to one nap.
Hoping to get to Hobbit size like his dad.
He wants the Hobbits at 3'6". I just want him to be 4 feet. I want him to break 4 feet.
Congratulations, you look just like your dad.
I just hope, praying he doesn't get the hairy feet. He doesn't get that from his dad, But the worst part has been, so he's been like nodding off at like 6:15, so we're putting him to bed.
Oh, that's...
And so I have to sit there on my couch and be like, what the heck am I going to do for 2 hours and 45 minutes while I'm falling asleep myself to try and stay awake for the game? Once the game starts, it's a little bit easier but it's like I've got like 2.5 hours. It's like, what the heck am I going to do? But
so
that's been the toughest part of this for me, at least. And then, of course, the game ending at 11 o'clock, and then me having to wake up at 3:30.
I'm still learning how to be a parent, but 2 things I can give you is during the teething stage, Hungarian hooch, just a drop on your finger.
Yeah. Wow, that helps,
this is not actual medical advice, so please don't anybody else do it. This is just for Cam.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't anybody else.
Speaking to me.
And when the nods happens, 45 minutes because minutes are crucial. It's like traffic in Winnipeg.
Oh God!
If you leave at 4 o'clock, you're fine. If you leave at 4:03, that's how crucial minutes are with the. You got to keep that kid awake. You got to start a party at 6:05.
Well, and it's delicate timing because
keep them up till 7.
If they're still awake. Right? And then they get really crabby and miserable. Then they get so miserable they don't sleep. They don't want to go to sleep.
Yeah, they stay up too long.
I don't know what's with these
you
kids.
Waited too long.
I can't believe my parents put up with me.
Now, let me segue this into, do you think the Jets are finally awake?
Yes, I do. See, that was the question I was going to ask you today.
And I know we're going to discuss this. But
yeah, can we? You know what? Let's get into that, and then we'll talk about practice because there's a little bit of some information for practice
today.
Practice?
We're not a game. About practice.
Not a game.
We're not going to talk about the game today.
Not the game I love.
We're just going to talk about
that
practice.
I go out there and play 100% for. I'm talking about practice.
Here's another question. I'm a Sixers fan.
Yeah, Alan.
And a big Allen Iverson fan. I love the answer. I love him.
Practice is an important part.
But why didn't one reporter respond to that at any point during the rant to go, yes, I'm asking you about practice? Like, I've been in a number of scrums over the years, and when a guy's ranting like that, you have to be like Caitlin Collins at CNN. She's so professional.
Yeah.
She has a question, and then the president responds with, "You're dumb and you don't matter and it's fake news and all that." And then she just repeats the question again, like, "Sir, like it doesn't matter the insults or anything." So why didn't anybody during that scrum with Allen Iverson go, yes, I am asking about practice.
Not a game.
Do you feel it's important?
You'd have just said, you don't want to talk about a game.
Not the game I die for. No, Alan, we're not talking about the game. No, we're talking about practice. Yeah.
So we'll get to practice in just a second here. But yeah, I mean, it's like, are they awake? Yeah, I hope so.
Because
I hope so.
They're not like this was a terrible road trip. We said 4-2 would be successful.
3-3, 3-3,
2-1.
Yeah, 3-3 you could live with. 4-2, you'd come out and say, okay, they did what they needed to do.
As I often like to say, it's not so much they were 2-4, it's the way they were 2-4 that you have to look into. So I wonder if they're awake now. Like it's, to me, a lot of it is, and I know listeners, you heard this from the players and the coach himself, all self-inflicted. Are you awake? Are you 2-4 is not acceptable. And you got it handed to you quite handedly in a couple of games. Are you awake? Are you night in, night out, ready to go and be, I don't want to say prepared, just the kind of, you cannot have turnovers like that. You have to control the puck better. You have to do all these things. Yeah. By the way, Adam Lowry's hit on Nazem Kadri, give me more of that.
Yeah.
I think that engages the team. I think that, so when they become teammates around the March deadline this year, that's going to be a topic of of course. But you need more of that in hockey. You need more of that from this team. Finish some checks, get involved, get into the game to where, and since he's come back, that line of Niederreiter and Iafallo have been their best line in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking points and anything else. They come to work. And they're doing exactly what, if you had a resume for what this, if they were handing in a resume, this is what our line does. Mm-hmm. They've shown what they do the last couple of games.
So the tape, and I go back and I looked for this clip everywhere, Jim. I don't know where it lives. Maybe Kelly Moore's listening and he can send me a text. 204-780-6868 and tell me where this clip lives because I spent too much time.
You can use his actual number. You don't have to.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, don't. Yeah, I didn't want to. I was about to give my cell phone over on the air, but I was looking for it today. I don't know. Maybe you know exactly where it is.
Sorry to interrupt, but I know a guy who's single. He gives out that number. And I'm like, dude, you're single. You shouldn't mess around.
No, you
Time's
shouldn't.
wasting
That's
for
right,
you.
dude. You're running out of time.
I would not make those jokes. I would give your actual number and hope it works out.
Yeah. So I was looking for that clip about Rick Bowness saying, are you going to throw the, is the tape going to go through? He's, oh, no, we're not throwing that tape out. No chance. No chance. And that's sort of the question I want. And I ask you this question, Jim, because as much as I understand that it's not an excuse and the Jets have to overcome this because there's a lot more difficult things coming for them this season and into the playoffs. They've had a lot of guys getting reintroduced. You know what? I'm going to play. Can I play this clip about, he was asked, Scott Arniel was asked about Cole Perfetti getting comfortable again, as well as injured guys and coming back and all that. I'll play this right now.
He's like a lot of our guys that are just coming back into the lineup. It's taken them game reps, shift after shift to kind of get themselves back up to speed. I'm seeing them start to do a lot more of the things that he's good at, and it's just hard on them. They're not used to the playing into the contact and the. You get caught in one of those heavy shifts in the D zone, or you're, battling on the offensive side. They wear you down, and you haven't done it for, a few months there. It can be hard on the body, and he's not a big guy, and he's gradually getting himself up to speed. We're no different than any other team in the league, but this has been a long travel trip for us, some late nights. We needed 4 lines tonight, and I thought we got it. They chipped in with a goal, did some real good things, and, Parker did a good job on face-offs, but I thought that line, Gus was good, Tanner was good. They're responsible veterans that, we needed them. Like I mentioned, we needed 4 lines to help us kind of get ourselves through this heavy game.
So I wanted to play that from Scott Arniel because I wanted to ask you that question, Jim. Is this sort of like, we're getting guys integrated. Jonathan Taves missed 2 years. Cole Perfetti injured. Dylan Sandberg injured. Gustav Nyquist injured. Adam Lowry coming back from hip surgery. I mean, he just started skating, right?
Morgan Barron.
Exactly.
Cole Koepke.
All this stuff. Plus the longest road trip of the year. All the challenges that come that come with that. Luckily, it was mostly in the exact same time zone. Do you throw the tape out and do you sort of reset right now?
No, not at all. You look at that tape. And they were talking about this in the postgame show, I think, from Anaheim to Vancouver, where a lot of this tape would be, because they stayed over in Anaheim and flew to Vancouver the next morning. I think a lot of those players would have had their tape work sent to them, as they do now, and it's there for them that night or the next morning, and they got to look at that. This isn't a thing of you were so terrible, that's not us, and you throw it away.
Yeah.
This is this is us when we don't execute. This is us when we don't, get to the game plan and have lulls and voids. This is us, and we have to correct this, and we have to get to a better place with this. But Cam, I've always said this has been my theory for years, and you know this. I think the toughest job in coaching isn't getting a playoff team into the playoffs, or every time we look at the Jack Adams and we see who won last year with Washington and the turnaround and the points and all that. To me, that's tough. But the toughest job in coaching, and it's happening again to him, is John Cooper in Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. And now it's Scott Arniel in Winnipeg. How do you get your very skilled, very talented, very good team to play up to their par and do it night in and night out and not have games where you just think it's going to happen and keep them? This sounds ridiculous because listeners are going to go, how are they not engaged? But just stay engaged throughout a game and not just think it's going to happen. And it's a subconscious thing in my mind. And I think the way Tampa Bay's struggling, they got pounded by Vancouver 6-2 yesterday. They haven't played good hockey all year, in my opinion, and John Cooper has to look at that core again because he's been there forever.
Yeah.
And get that core re-engaged to the point that they're, Braden Point, wake up, let's go. And that's what I think Scott Arniel's job is to a lesser extent because Tampa Bay's won, we know that, with the Jets to get him to go, But while he's doing that, he's not wrong about the Perfettis and the injuries and the bringing back in. And it's not lost on me that the lines that have been the best this year are the number one line and the Lowry line because they've been together for the longest. The lines that you're sort of wondering about and struggling with, and then on the D pairings, they've struggled. Morrissey and DeMello. Morrissey's on fire the last 2 weeks, and he's got himself in the Norris conversation again. But DeMello's had a rough start to the year. When you average it out over the games, I think he's had more poor games in this first month of the season than I think I've seen him have in seasons.
I agree with that.
And so that's the point of he didn't become terrible. He's still a very good, smart hockey player, but how you engage that and get him back to the level that's coaching. And that's tough in my mind. I think that's tougher to do than to take a very poor team. Like the job in Anaheim for Quenneville, set up on a platter. We have a really good young team who our young guys have been around for a year or two now. They're about to break out.
He did the same thing in Florida.
We have veterans. We just need you to mix this together and go. If Anaheim makes the playoffs this year and finishes like third in the West, he's going to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Good for him. But that's not the toughest job in the NHL right now. The toughest job in the NHL is getting Scott Arniel to get his Jets to play like the Jets. The toughest job is to get Stanley Cup champion core like the Lightning to get back to what they're doing consistently.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets and hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. I'm happy to agree with you. Boston Pizza, coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. On the other side, Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, as well as Kenny and Rennie, is going to be joining us right after 12:30. Looking forward to what he has to say about the road trip and the homestand to come here. He has always got some great takes, so interested to ask him his thoughts on that. When we come back, though, a special guest at Winnipeg Jets practice. No Connor Hellebuck. I don't think it's nefarious, but a special guest.
He got hammered at the Grey Cup, yes. No, I'm just kidding.
But a special guest in his spot.
Really?
You'll be excited to know who it is when we come back.
Oh, I can't wait.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
So here are the line rushes at practice today. Of course, as I just mentioned, Morgan Barron seems to have taken another step. Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Nemestikov, Taves, Perfetti, Niederreiter, Lowry, Iafallo, Pearson, Barron, Nyquist on the fourth line. So Barron back between Pearson and Nyquist. Chibrikov, Lambert, and Kepke, your extra forwards. Morrissey and DeMello, Samberg, Pionk, and then Stanley and Shen, your bottom pairing defenseman. No Connor Hellebuck, Jim Toth, at Jets practice, but another familiar face, Michael Hutchinson, serving as the second goaltender for today's session.
Wow. Oh, I was wondering what he was doing these days. I know he lives here now with his bride or
his wife.
Bride,
yeah, she's got a business
wife
here.
of many years.
His bride,
like
yes.
their newlyweds. Oh, that's interesting. Gets back on the ice.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, his biggest moment with the Winnipeg Jets had to have been that save against Austin Matthews when Patrick Laine scored against the Leafs in overtime.
Was that him, eh? That was him.
It went off Michael Hutchinson, then to Dustin Byfuglien. Dustin Byfuglien to a streaking Patrick Laine. Dennis Bayak had the best call on that. It was incredible.
I think we had Bayak on shortly after that, and he's like, I want to apologize. I did actually lose my mind for a little bit.
No, it was incredible.
Yeah. I said that you did, and he goes, no, I mean, like, I literally went
blacked out. Sean Reynolds will be with us. I want to talk to him. I want his thoughts. He's always honest. He's always got great insight, and I want to know his thoughts on the road trip as a whole, and looking forward to this upcoming homestand. Don't go anywhere.
Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
NHL, you kind of have a short memory, and we've done a lot better things our last 3 games, and now we build.
That was a real short answer from Josh Morrissey. Usually he gives, and our next guest knows this.
He's had enough.
Better than anybody. He gives he gives good answers. Josh Morrissey gives good answers at post and pregame, but they're usually a minute and a half.
Yeah.
2 minutes long. And they're sort of, droning is not the right term because it's not just like nonsense or anything like that. But he sort of meanders in his answers. And for him just to come out and give a real short answer, to me tells that there's a level of he's sort of watching what he's saying. He doesn't want to say too much, which I don't know if that's good or bad.
He's Ken Wiebe. He's AB, all business. Short, sweet. But to the point, he's had enough. He's like, that's enough. No, but his 680 CJB postgame interviews are epic. And he returns with some questions of his own. He's like, well, blah, 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 but let me ask you guys. And I'm like, wow.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line wins a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Jim, go ahead.
So just before we get to Sean here and continue the Jets talk, this has just come out from the Blue Bombers. Of course, the news came out on a late Friday afternoon that Mike O'Shea would be back for 2026, as would Kyle Walters. They've now officially announced that both will be back on 3-year contract extensions. So they are married once again, Walters and O'Shea, for the next 3 years. A lot of people asking about this over the weekend, and I said, I don't know. I don't know why it's just a 1-year deal or if it is a 1-year deal. But apparently, and Derek Taylor's going to join me at 1:30 today on the Jim Toth Show to discuss this, but apparently Mike just picked up the phone and said, I'll be back. And that was it. Like,
that's
no terms. I would imagine something was on the table anyway, but just maybe they had to work some things out, but it is 3-year deals for both. We'll talk about that at 1:30.
Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet host, as well as host of the co-host of the Kenny and Rennie podcast and YouTube program.
Speaking of lifelong contracts.
Sean Reynolds on the program. Hey, Sean. Sean, we got you there?
Yeah, you got me?
Yeah, no, we got you. I think there was a dial was down or something like that. What's going on?
Nothing. You know what you were talking about, Josh, and I think the word you were looking for was opining. He spends time opining with his answers, right? And so you're right. It does stand out when Josh gives like a short, punchy answer like that. It's like he's just at the stage where he's like, I'm done talking about this. It's time for us to go put it out on the ice and let our play do the speed.
You know, a quick story. It's so funny. There's a year, his rookie year at the Moose, I was doing Moose games with Mitch Peacock. And Josh routinely, after practices and scrum, would just sit there with Mitch and I, and he's like, oh, you're from Alberta, and, the oil industry, blah, 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 or the health of the Western Hockey League. And I'm like, how is this guy smarter than me? I'm way older than him. But he would just, great conversationalist, super intelligent. So Sean's right. When he does give a short answer, it's kind of like, because he's very intuitive and very bright.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Scholastic Athlete of the Year, and it shows. Like he, to your point, sitting down and just chatting with Josh, even outside of hockey, just in life in general, it's just like you're around someone who thinks really deeply about kind of everything, and he takes into consideration everything that you're saying, and he builds on it. He's a pleasure to talk with. I'm sure. Hey. if you were ever to get to a dinner party with him, I'm sure he'd be a good guy to pull up a chair beside.
Yeah, for sure.
Get an education.
He's got a great sense of humor too. The teammates always say who's the funniest guy on the team, and Morrissey usually ends up. Jim asked me this question, and I'm going to ask this to you, Sean. Have the Jets, after this road trip, have they woken up?
I don't think so. I mean, squeaking out a victory over the last place team in the league, it didn't look like a return to the style that they're expecting to return to. It didn't look like a return to that full 60-minute effort that they keep talking about trying to get back to. Like, a lot of the things that and maybe that's why Josh is done talking, because a lot of the things that they've talked about doing and getting back to, I'm not seeing examples of that. And, so a lot of times people just can conflate wins with their back, right? And I think a lot of people were saying that when they had that victory against the Vancouver Canucks. I didn't really see a really great performance from the Jets in that game. And what I definitely didn't see is what we've come used to seeing from the Jets over the last couple of years, where they've got that oppressive style of play that just leaves you feeling like them winning is inevitable, right? I don't think they've come anywhere close to that. So to suggest that they've woke up, I mean, maybe they've woke up in a way that it's like, okay, we got to start, getting back to this, or we're starting to fall in the standings a little bit, and they've really got their attention. But as far as seeing a style of game that would suggest that the Jets have woken up and returned to something, that shootout win over the last place team in the league does nothing to make me think that's happened.
What did Mark Scheifele say?
What do you mean?
At the end of the game in Calgary, do you know if he said, "Do you want to have dinner?" or what got him tossed from the game? Because that was, I just ruined my own joke, Sean. I know you don't know, so that you're supposed to say I heard he said.
Did you hear? Well, what the camera, what the microphone did pick up is that he referred to the ref as being frickin' arrogant, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I think when he came out, it was just a continuation of that. There's only so many frickins a man can take.
Yes, indeed. I wanted to bring that up. So what is it this year, Sean? Because the parody's at an all-time high, but they clearly aren't executing and making mistakes. I buy into the self-inflicted stuff, but is it anything more than those three things in your mind to where this team and the level they're playing at, or are they just, lose some key pieces and they're trying to find their way?
Well, trying to find their way, I think, is entirely it. And I think the one thing about the Winnipeg Jets, I've thought this for a really long time, the success that the Jets have had is because they're a really good systems team. Now, every team in the NHL is a systems team, but there's a lot of teams that play a little bit looser, and let's let our skill speak for itself. The Jets let their rigid system speak for itself, and it's helped a lot. And what it's done is they're really suffocating defensively. In doing so, they force mistakes out of the other team, and the Jets are really good at capitalizing on those mistakes. Now, I think from what we've been seeing this year, the Jets aren't as fast as they were last year. You shouldn't expect them to be as fast as they were, taking guys like Mason Appleton, Rasmus Kapari, Brandon Tanev, and Nikolai Ehlers above all out of the lineup. Those are speed demons, and the thing about the Jets system is it's all based on showing up on time. The opposition has the puck. As soon as he gets it, you're on him, and you give him nowhere to move the puck but a very specific direction, and then the next Jets defender knows where the puck's going to go, and he can jump on that, right? So it's just from one pass to one pass to one pass. The Jets are there on top of the play because they're on time, and I just feel like they're just a little behind time right now because they're not as fast, and when you're not on time, then that defender that you're pressuring has options now. He doesn't just have to move the puck in one specific direction. He's got options, and now the next Jets player can't know that the puck is going in a specific direction and go there. So to me, their system is really, really rules above all, and it's hard to play. You have to be really fast. I think they're a little slower this year, and they're trying to think their way into those spots. And that's going to take a little bit of work because for the new guys who are trying to figure out the system, that's what they're doing. They're trying to figure it out. For the old guys, they're trying to figure out how to make the system work that is not quite as tight as it was last year. And so it's gone from, in my opinion, being a learning process for just the new guys to kind of a learning process for everybody out there on the ice on how they can get their system looking as close to last year as they did.
So Is the speed? Are they just not a team? They're just a team that's not as fast as they were last year, or is it guys sort of coming off of like the team's been pretty banged up? They've lost quite a bit of man games so far this year. Is it just guys having to get readjusted and coming in and out of the lineup and injuries and mixing match lines, or is it just they got to figure out what's going on here? They're just a team that's just not as fast.
Like, I think it's both those things, right? Like, I do think, missing a guy like Adam Lowry, he's clearly a pressure player that, once he gets fully up to speed is going to be really important in that style of play that I'm talking about. But like this team is the oldest team in the NHL, right? We shouldn't expect them to be the fastest team in the NHL. And so when you're a team that's kind of predicated on speed and pressure, and you got older, they got wiser, right? They went out and they got more Stanley Cup winners, and they went out and they got guys who've been there before. But yeah, I think it's both. I think it's as some of these guys get back. Morgan Barron, another guy who's really fast, a really good pressure player. Once they get him back, things are going to look a little bit better. But I also do think that this team is not going to be as fast as it was last year. You can't lose those four guys we were talking about. Like Rasmus Kupari was one of the guys, like I think he had the second fastest burst in the NHL last year, like a fast, really great player when he was in. And I know some of your listeners are going to say, yeah, but he wasn't even in the lineup in the playoffs, but he got spit out of the lineup by Brandon Tanev, who's another speed demon. And Nikolai Ehlers is one of the fastest players in the NHL. And if you take a look at that really effective third line, Mason Appleton, I used to refer to him as the tip of the spear because he would be the guy who got in, applied the pressure first, and then Adam Lowry would go in and either scoop the puck up if it was a contested puck, or he'd go pressure the next guy and they'd turn it over. So it's to me, it's a fragile ecosystem playing that kind of system because you have to be on top of it. Like I was saying earlier, you have to be on time. It's harder now for them to be on time when I think the tip of the spear on the third line is gone. The maybe fastest player on the team in Nikolai Ehlers is gone, and a guy whose speed just put defenders on their heels all the time last year. And then two of the fastest players that you used on your fourth line are gone. You just cannot expect them to be as fast as they were last year. And I personally think that's challenging their system.
Yeah, that's interesting as well. This is way, way before the trade deadline, but I think teams with the parity in the league are going to be more active sooner than ever. What do you think they need right before they go as they sit this week? And you mentioned speed, of course. Is that a top six winger, or where would you sort of, if you had one thing you could grab this team right now, what would it be?
Yeah, so I just had this conversation with someone, and I don't think it's one thing. Like for the Jets to get back to what they were last year, which was a really, really great regular season team, and then a team that, went to the second round in the playoffs. And yes, I like the way they performed against Dallas, but they didn't get out of the second round of the playoffs. There was a little bit of a miracle and some really, really great lucky bounces that got them to the second round in the first place. I think the Jets have work to do just to get back to what they were last year. And I think it's multiple pieces and kind of speeding things up if they're trying to do that. Now, a lot of times what you just have to do is say, we're not that team anymore. So we need to tweak things and we need to be a little bit different. I'm not saying that Scott Arniel, who a lot of coaches thought was the best coach in the NHL last year, isn't going to be able to figure this out and say, okay, let's kind of move our system around to fit what we have here and the Jets will get better. I'm not saying this is the end of it, but it's hard for me to say what's the one thing that this team needs when I don't think this team has truly figured out at this stage who they are. Once they do, then it's a little bit easier. Like the last couple of years, how easy was it for guys like us who pretend we know what we're talking about when it comes to hockey to say this is what they need. They need to go get this defender and they need this or they need that. How many years? It was like when Sean Monahan came, they need a second line center. The reason it was so easy is because the Jets were so defined in their roles and in who they were that it was very obvious where the holes were. It's not as obvious now because the Jets aren't as defined as they've been in the last couple of years in how they play and who they are. And that, to me, is the challenge that they're facing right now. It's one of the reasons they've lost 4 of their last 6 games, and it's one of the reasons we've yet to see them look like what they've looked like in the last couple of years.
Real quick, just before we let you go, Sean, one more. We were before the road trip started, Jim and I said that 4-2 would be a success. 3-3 you could live with, but 2-4 would be definitely a setback. Looking at this homestand with a game against Columbus tomorrow, and then Nick Ehlers and the Carolina Hurricanes, and then ending with the Minnesota Wild. What do you want to see from the Winnipeg Jets over these 3 games for you to define it as a success?
Well, the most important game there, as I see it, is that Minnesota Wild game, because the Minnesota Wild, a lot of people kind of counted them out and thought they had, like a bad start to the season, which I think that they did. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they're tied with the Jets in points, although they played a couple more games, right? But the one thing that I think that the Jets do really, really well, and they did it a lot last year, is those games that it's like, okay, we need you guys to come up with a performance in this game. Those are the games they do really well at. So, I mean, I think 2 out of 3 is probably a success. You get back in, you win 2 out of 3. I mean, 3 out of 3, of course, is great. Mm-hmm. But if it's 2 out of 3, but that one loss is against the Minnesota Wild, it's a little tricky. So for me, it starts with a win over the Minnesota Wild, and I know that's the last game, so it's hard to kind of gauge things before that. You wanted them to get going before that, but to me, that one's important, because you see where the Jets are right now. They're in 3rd, and they're tied with 22 points with teams that go right down out of the playoffs, right? They're back in that kind of dogfight where sometimes a loss drops you below the playoff line. You get 2 or 3 losses in a row. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden you're chasing, and we all know that artificial line, that's a pretty scary line based on what happens out of it. But that November, end of November American Thanksgiving line, the teams that end up below it usually, more often than not, well, by a long shot, miss the playoffs. I'm not saying they need to be over that line by that time, but it's a good indicator of where that team's at. If you're out of the playoffs at American Thanksgiving, you're going to be in a dogfight, and the Jets want to eliminate those teams that they're in the dogfight with. So a win over Minnesota, I think, is critical.
Sean Reynolds, a Sportsnet host, podcaster, Kenny and Rennie, as well as reporter. Sean, thanks so much for your time. Take care, and great insight.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. Miss your chance. Get your thoughts on the show today. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Boston Pizza coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. The number 1 caller will be awarded a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza on Friday. I agree with Sean. They have to beat Minnesota, and they got to win one of the 2 games against either Columbus or Carolina, and that's a success. I'm totally with him on that.
Columbus is real good this year, too, but he's right. They have 22 points. They're in 3rd. The 2 wildcard teams are Chicago and Vegas. They have 22 points, and there's 2 teams outside the playoffs that have 22 points.
A big signing for the LA Kings, and injuries across the league to some key players. I'll tell you what I'm talking about when we come back.
With Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Hey, congratulations to Fish. He has our VIP text from Wash Method Car Wash 690 St. Anne's Road. Fish says, "Gents, the Jets have been really good puck watchers this year. They seem to be losing guys all over their own D zone. They have to recommit to taking guys' sticks and not leaving opponents open all the time. I would hazard to guess that the Jets are giving up far more grade A chances this far than compared to last. Go Jets." That one from Fish. Fish, you nailed it, man. But the thing is they haven't done this in the past. It's fixable. And I actually think Sean Reynolds had a great insight into why that is.
Yeah, and it is fixable. That's the one thing I'm not panicking about. These are things that you can correct and get better at. But I also agree with him. Like, they're not out of the woods yet. They got to figure this out.
On the injury front, Dallas defenseman Thomas Harley is week to week with lower body injury. Yeesh. Habs forward Kirby Dach. The Habs are falling back to earth. Who saw this coming? Not the delusional level of Habs fans out there. Thought the team was skyrocketing in the Stanley Cup. Habs forward Kirby Dach. I enjoyed nothing more. We'll miss, not that Kirby Dach's injured, I don't enjoy that, but we'll miss the next 4 to 6 weeks due to a fractured foot. And Blackhawks captain Nick Foligno will be out about a month with a hand injury. So some very important players to their teams dealing with some significant injuries. And the LA Kings have signed forward Adrian Kempe to a 8-year, $85 million contract extension.
I thought it'd be more.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be in the 11 to 12 range.
So did I. I thought it was with 10.65.
I thought it'd be Martin H's is 11.5. I thought he would get like 11.
Hometown discount. California's got high taxes.
Will Ferrell will even it out.
Jim Toth, take you all the way till 2 o'clock. Thank you very much. Carter, great job producing the show. That's it for me. Back same time tomorrow. See you.